Hey guys, DMS here. Today I have for you the Sennheiser IE900. Let's check it out. Now before we start this video, just a few things. One, click that subscribe button if you love music, if you love audio, if you want to see more reviews like this, if you want to ask me a question, hit me up in the Telegram chat. You can get the link to that in the Patreon in the video description. That's how I support the channel and keep videos like this going. And if you want to get active in the community, you can at forum.hifiguides.com. So a lot of you guys might remember I did a video featuring the Sennheiser IE900. And that, of course, is in the same line as this, the IE900. I'm going to talk about both of these IEMs, how they compare, where they're similar, and what the IE900 does that's different. Right off the bat, I want to note that these IEMs are basically the exact same dimensions. From every angle that I could possibly compare them, they look and feel like they are the exact same size. And this was measured as well. The shape is the same, the fit is the same, the weight is very, very similar, though I feel like the IE300 is a little bit lighter with its plastic. The same tips fit, the same connector fits, and as a result of this, if you remember what I said about the IE300, the IE900 is extremely comfortable. It's light, it's small, it's very ergonomic. I do with this lens out, we don't need this yet. And it is effortless to wear for hours and hours and hours. For me personally anyway. Now this is over $1,000 for an IEM. That is not cheap, but IEMs do go a lot higher than that. So let's talk a little bit about how this compares to the IE300, where they're similar. If you remember what I said about the IE300, you'll remember that I said it is V-shaped. Very deep sub bass, lots of detail, a bit more treble on the upper end, sometimes leaning towards sibilance. The IE900 retains a very similar sound stage, very similar sound characteristic, but better. It's basically just across the board, this is just going to be a repetitive thing, the IE300, but better. The IE300 actually has more bass, but the sub bass on the IE900 is deeper. Now it still has boosted sub bass over what I would consider neutral, and it definitely has a lot of punch to it, though I would say it's not irritating to me. I generally find things with boosted bass to be more irritating, but with the IE900, it's just clean enough that it really doesn't bother me. And that's because while it is boosted, it's never bloated or muddy or slow or sluggish. It's always fast, articulated, textured, and deep, detailed bass. And that I can appreciate. I think this is something that will open the eyes for a lot of bass heads who already love bass but really want something more. I think this is kind of what they're missing. Moving up from there, it is a bit warm sounding in the lower mid-range. Through most of the mids though, I'd say it's reasonably level. And then in the treble, we get a bit of a dip down and then a peak back up. Now, the peaks in this are not as big as the peaks on the IE300, and overall, it's a more linear IEM than the IE300 is. But it is still V-shaped. You get a lot of air out of this. Upper treble is very, very forward and detailed. It doesn't lean into sibilance nearly as much as the IE300 does, which is nice, but there are some tracks where I can edge sibilance out of this IEM, so be warned. And most of the time this is not a problem, and I'm not a very high volume listener anyway. I listen at what I would consider very average listening levels. At these levels it's absolutely fine, and given this IEM's level of isolation, I don't have any problems with it on the go, and never have to turn it up enough for it to be harsh or sibilant anyway. I do think with this IEM's tuning, this would be really great for people who like watching movies, playing games, anything like that on the go, where they're going to be taking more advantage of that deep sub bass. And I also think this is a great IEM for someone who wants very articulated detail in a small package, because this does achieve that very, very effortlessly. In fact, I would say that while there are IEMs I've heard that are a little bit more rounded sound-wise overall, like the Unique Melody Mest, this feels more detailed. And I'm not sure if it is the unison of having a single full-range driver. This is also using, by the way, Sennheiser's XWB Extra Wideband driver, they call it. Apparently a slightly better revision than the one on IE300. I don't know if it's because this is a single driver and isn't split up or what, but it really does feel like overall across the board I'm getting a more detailed experience than with a lot of these other end-game IEMs, at the sacrifice of a bit more of a V-shaped tuning. But you know what? I'm okay with it. When I am on the go, I am not doing as much critical listening, as much analytical listening. And that's not a bad thing. If you're analyzing for detail, this would be absolutely fine. But I don't usually sit down on the go and think, you know what, I want to have a perfectly flat studio experience while I'm on this airplane. Well, on an airplane, I'm usually thinking, is this going to block out noise? Is this going to be detailed? Is this going to be a pleasant tuning? And this does check those boxes. Granted, this is an expensive piece to be bringing around with you places, but so are plenty of other things that I've recommended, like the Kinera Nana. I think that the tuning of these two IEMs, and especially the IE900, is going to be more pleasing to your general consumer. I think that it is a target curve that, you know, your general consumer is going to be very fond of, but with the added spice of audiophile levels of detail. And that can be a great combination. Let's talk about soundstage. So soundstage on the IE300 was good. It wasn't out of this world, but it was pretty good for an IEM, and so is imaging. But on this in particular, the IE900 soundstage definitely goes a step farther out. I would say that soundstage-wise, this competes with different IEMs that say have electrostatic tweeters and things like that. So things like the Kinera Nana, the Mest. I feel like this has a similar soundstage to those, but with definitely better imaging than things like the Nana. Similar to the Mest as far as imaging is concerned. I think the Mest did edge it out just a little bit in terms of imaging, but it's really hard to tell. They're so close. I think your absolute diehard hardcore audiophile is probably going to like the Mest more in some cases if they're just sitting and listening for like 5-10 minutes or something like that. But then again, if I'm listening for longer than that, I would much rather have the IE900 because I can actually bear the comfort of this, whereas Mest just wasn't nearly as comfortable. But the flip side of that, the IE300 gets pretty close to what this can do at a much cheaper price. I mean, realistically, while the IE300 is very good, the bass isn't quite as clean. The treble does lean a little bit more into sibilance, but IE300 is less than half the price. That's a tough call. For your average person, I feel like the IE300 is a buy that you won't regret. And if you like that kind of sound, the IE900 is that taken to 11. It's the no-brainer end game of this kind of sound signature. And you know what? I think that's how I would put it. This is the end game IEM for people who like a V-shaped sound, or for people who like sub-bass. Either way, it has brought a lot of life into recordings I've listened to many times, and I've enjoyed using the IE900. And one last note before we go, this is very easy to power. You can power this off basically anything. On my phone, less than half volume. My laptop, less than half volume. You can plug it up to a DAC or something if you want. You'll probably get better quality out of that. But realistically, iPhone dongle. Honest to God, just put it on an iPhone dongle or a Type-C dongle. You'll be fine. This thing does not need an amp to get to its peak potential. I have some more interesting things coming soon, including the new Grado X series, the 325X, which I actually bought myself a pair. So all these times I keep talking about maybe buying myself a headphone after reviewing it. Yeah, I actually bought the Grado 325X, so video on that in the near future. The 2021 Sundara, the Sennheiser SA1, and many more. So guys, if you like this video, please leave a like down below, a comment letting me know what you want to see in the future. If you want to get active in the community, you can at forum.hifigods.com. And as always, don't forget to stick around and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Till next one, guys. Peace.